Did I tell you guys that Joe and I got tickets to see The Play That Goes Wrong?
I'm so freaking jealous. I've been wanting to see that since you introduced it to me, Garrett.
It's so good. I love it so much.
We've watched like as much as we can online, but I want to see it in person.
I haven't seen if they've done like a new season yet.
I don't even
I know they've
care.
done, I think, 2 seasons.
I've looked for, I've like found people doing like TikToks and YouTube videos of Peter Pan Goes Wrong and Christmas Carol Goes Wrong. Like those, I could watch every single one of those. They make me howl with laughter.
I was listening to a
They're
podcast
so
talk
good.
about them, and they're saying how it's amazing to see in person because you think about it, how choreographed they have to have everything, timing-wise, like humor. Like they have to time their precise location and position and everything to make it seem like things are going like that. Kind of is crazy about it.
Yeah.
It's a finely tuned machine. It's all, like you said, all the planning, everything they have to go into it. It's just insane. It all works.
When
so
are you
well.
going?
October 7th.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It's a local production.
That sounds so fun. There are a couple shows coming to Indy that I want to see. I think we're gonna go with my niece to see something down here in April.
Well, I sent you that text that Six is playing at the
Oh, I know.
Egyptian room.
So I'd gone to see Six, and went to see Six a couple years ago when it was still in pre-show stuff, and then again, I went with my sister-in-law Amanda. Shout out. I went with her and my other sister-in-law and my sister and my mom again to see it in Chicago, in June. That was fun. I will say though, the show that I had gone to see, which was pre-Broadway, the Anne of Cleves character had a German accent the entire time, and this time around she didn't, and it weirdly bothered me that she didn't have a German accent. I think her song was just better with a German accent. Like, it doesn't work with an English.
I could see it.
So, anyway, yeah, Six is fun.
Yeah, welcome to the show, everyone.
Yeah,
Hey, welcome back.
again.
Again.
Like 3 months later.
Guys, look, we warned you. This was not going to be
This is true. This is truly going to be a show right now where you're going to get episodes when they come out.
Yeah,
there is no schedule.
We really love doing this, but 2 kids, Garrett's balancing all kinds of awesome adult life things. Families are celebrating milestones, so like we didn't have a June or a July. We didn't have a free weekend until literally this weekend.
Same.
Since the end of May.
Even then, we're recording pretty late. Always at night for us.
So sorry if we get interrupted by the 5-year-old who comes downstairs and tells us we forgot to do something for bedtime.
Her cameo appearance.
It is her cameo appearance.
They're both still awake, by the way. I just checked the monitors, and they're both awake.
Great. Wonderful. This will be fun. How you guys doing?
Speed run.
Speedrun. I'm really good at talking fast, so we'll be good. Just, I guess, insert jokes later.
Fix it in post.
We have a team of writers do that for us. They write all of our jokes, and then we put it in post. And
We do. We're just the voices of the...
AI can do this for me.
All right, guys. I don't know why.
We use AI a lot at my job, and it kind of
AI
freaks me out.
can be a good supplemental tool. I'm a writer for work, and I did writing at my last job a lot. And so the idea of AI taking over writing is frankly horrifying. But when it's used to enhance writing, I think it can be responsibly used.
It as a tool to help out, yes,
Exactly.
I do think so, because like I do a lot of things with like video editing now, and like having it automatically sync up like music to like somebody's like lips flapping and or like the audio tracks.
Fascinating.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, it's
which is funny because I'm a software engineer. I've yet to even use Chat GPL once.
GPT.
GPT, whatever. I haven't used any AI myself yet. I just never cared.
It's pretty nice.
It's scary how good it is, but
hopefully
I've got a coworker that overly relies on it.
Oh yeah, well you can always tell when.
Come on.
You can always tell when it's being overly used.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it will reach the point where humans can focus more on arts and creation, and not AI taking over the arts and creation.
I don't know. I want AI now to tell me the history of the Tudors.
Well, that'd be kind of fun. One of our users, go to ChatGPT and ask for a history of the reign of Henry VIII and report back. That'll be our fourth podcast?
But have it told from the point of view of Henry VIII.
That'd be fun. If you start that, okay, another new podcast. What's this, like 5? ChatGPT does Henry.
ChatGD Tudor.
ChatGP Tudor. There we go.
GP Tudor.
Okay, I have to talk to you guys about something before I forget, because I almost forgot that I watched this.
Okay.
There's a bonkers show out called Our Lady Jane. And
I've seen you watch some of this, and it's...
I flew through it.
I had no clue what it was. I was so baffled.
Is this one of those like historical comedy shows?
Yes.
Or is it a drama?
No,
okay.
It's historical comedy, but it elevates it. It's so much more than comedy. So here's the thing. I watched the entire season 1 in about 3 days. And then a bunch of life stuff happened, and we went on vacation. And on vacation, everything that's not related to food and relaxing empties out of my brain. So I don't remember all the details of My Lady Jane. But let me tell you. All right. Spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched. Just like skip. Because I'm going to tell Garrett and Joe everything I remember. Or Garrett and Jeff. Sorry, Jeff. You've been replaced by Joe.
Yeah, I figured.
I got to tell him. All right, guys, ready? 1, 2, 3, spoilers, blah, blah, blah. All right. So, My Lady Jane is about the reign of Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen. Do you guys remember much about her?
Vaguely.
She reigned for 9 days.
That's all you really need to know. So, in real life, Edward VI was king. He was dying. His counselors convinced him to name, not his counselors, one of his counselors convinced him to name Jane Grey, who just so happened to be that counselor's daughter-in-law, as the queen. She becomes queen. Mary's pissed. People of England are pissed. She gets deposed, then imprisoned, and about a year and a half later, beheaded. It's not a happy life. She's Protestant. Edward VI is Protestant. Mary I is... sorry, just remembering things that happened in the show. Mary is Catholic. Okay, so in the show, they don't talk about Protestant and Catholic. They talk about, I don't remember the word for it. It begins with an E, but people turn into animals. And
that's where I was getting so confused when I was watching it.
Wait, what?
Like literally turning
so
to animals.
Crazy. They literally just turn into animals. So like, it's religion, except instead of being another religion, they turn into animals. And so people are like, you can't support them. They're whatever they call these people. They turn into animals. And then
Animorphs.
They're animorphs. They are the sometimes it's very anamorphy. So guys, the TikTok jokes about this show are just like chef's kiss perfect. And Lady Jane Grey is forced to marry. It's like it's like every poorly written, no, not poorly written, because it is based off a book, which I haven't read, so I don't know if the book is good, but it's every basic romance trope. So Jane is forced to marry her husband, and then it turns out that her husband is actually a horse. But he's
that old thing.
He can't control turning into a horse, and it's bad news bears to be turning into any sort of animal because they're prosecuted. So anybody who can turn into an animal tries to keep it secret, and they also use it for spy reasons. And Mary is like this psychotic woman, and I love her. Like, she's a sex-crazed psycho, and I love her character. And she's banging, who is she banging? I think it's Seymour. It's one of the Seymour brothers, Tom or not Jerry. Thomas or Edward. They might have been combined into one in this. It doesn't really matter because nobody turned into horses in history. But, all right, end of spoilers. The show is delightful. I thought I would hate it. I fucking loved it. I don't know why. Yes, I do. It's because it didn't take itself too seriously. And I think that was my issue with Reign. They played fast and loose with history. Fine. Except it took itself too seriously and felt like Gossip Girl does history.
That helps the people who want to go, well, this isn't very accurate. Kind of when, like you're saying, they're playing loose with the historical facts. Well, when people turn to animals, you're not going to be too picky
about
how
like,
accurate
that didn't happen.
Wait, not that many people turned into horses. Only a few did.
I mean, it's definitely a way to hook somebody. You're like, oh, yeah, it's another history show. They throw some comedy in there. Also, guess what?
It is absolutely insane, but it is so fun. I really do recommend it. It's just silly, goofy, Bridgerton-esque fun.
I think that's a good comparison.
Except not as, like, slutty romancy as Bridgerton.
Well, it depends on what you're into.
I mean, if that's your thing, you do you.
Interspecies erotica.
Don't yuck on other people's yum, okay? Okay, that's kind of been my only Tudor consumption lately, except for today. Listeners, back in, when did we go visit them? May? I don't know. Sometime when it was warm. We went to visit Garrett and Joe.
Oh, that was like late June?
I don't know. So we went.
It was sometime this year.
It was at some point when the weather was hot and the sun was out. We went to visit them, and Garrett's like, oh, there's a used bookstore. And I was like, hell yes, sign me up. And Garrett goes, it's not like a normal used bookstore. It might be hard to find something. And I come out of the basement with 3 books, and he goes, I can't believe you found something. And I was like, oh, I had to put 3 other ones back because I'm trying to limit myself.
Yeah, if you take Emily to a bookstore, it's not so much like will she find something, it's how much can she control herself from buying too much.
So for my summer reading, this is what I chose. A book called The Red Revolution, which was about the uprising of the Bolsheviks. A book about saving the Romanovs, which, spoiler, didn't happen. And then another one called The Tudor Age, and it's an historian of a brief history of the Tudor Age. And it is so fascinating. It's great because I can read like a single chapter at a time, and it's not one where you have to like read the whole book or you lose track. So
like each chapter is its own subject matter.
But, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
that
great. So like chapter 1 is just the Tudor family, which is fun. Chapter 2 is about London in that time period. Chapter 3 is about the King's Highway. Chapter 4 is the Estates of the Realm, which was very fascinating. I almost made you guys listen to that whole ass episode. There's a whole chapter about fashion, houses, scholars and doctors.
See,
We are 100% coming back to the
no stretch a
scholars
book
and
guy,
doctors.
but this sounds like a book that I would read.
Oh, it's
because
so
it sounds like it's segmented nicely.
I'm looking at it right now in Emily's hands. It's not even like that huge, too.
Yeah,
which
it's
means
so.
at least a book that somebody will get straight to the point rather than.
Yep, it's
like drag
really
on.
fascinating. There's a whole section on husbandry, which was actually, if you worked in agriculture, furniture and food, sports and entertainment, ships and voyages, war. One of the episodes we're going to do in the future is from this book. It's really interesting. And I was writing it and I was like, this is so depressing. I'm sure we'll laugh, but that is not today's topic. But The Tudor Age by Jasper Ridley. Highly recommend. Very quick. It was written in 1988. So a lot of this...
the year I was born.
Yeah, a lot of this is actually probably outdated in terms of any sort of conclusions they've drawn. But still, very interesting, and it kickstarted a bunch of my own research, so those are the books I got.
Nice.
Are you guys actually ready to talk?
Yeah, what's today's topic?
All right,
Like, what are we going to learn about?
Okay. Well, I'm trying to decide if I should do one topic or another. One is a theme, another is a person. And the theme one is the pseudo-depressing one, but I think it's interesting.
I like going with the theme.
But the person one, there's so many jokes already built into it.
Oh, God, it's tough.
How about we just do both?
How about we flip a coin? Or we could do both.
I kind of want to do the one. All right, okay. We're going to do the person, and then the writing didn't take me very long. If we have more time, we'll go into the other, and it'll be a two-parter, or I don't know. We'll figure it out, okay? All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Sir Francis Bryan. Garrett, you will recognize this guy. He's the court pirate.
The court pirate?
Do you remember the court pirate?
I don't remember the court pirate.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay.
The Dread Pirate.
Pirate Bryan. All right. Sir Francis Bryan was born around 1490, maybe 1491. So a little after Henry VIII. He is a descendant of Edward III through his mother. And so he's got some royal blood in him, but that didn't really... it's probably better that he didn't have more royal blood in him. But he came to court at a young age, and along with his brother-in-law, Nicholas Carew, who we've also never done an episode about, which we need to fix after researching this one, they became known as the King's Minions.
Sorry, I just got a shudder there from that word.
We're
parents.
I hate those little orange fuckers.
Banana.
No.
We don't allow it in our house. Evie knows we don't like Minions, and she will come to us and be like, we watch Minions at Nana's, but we don't watch it here because I know you don't like it. Like, that's fucking right.
I've not seen a single one of those movies.
You don't want to. They're just annoying. So, him and his brother-in-law and a couple other guys, they became the King's Minions. They were known for their intemperate behavior. However, he was one of Henry's besties, and he really was rewarded for it. He was given a lot of public offices over his life. So here's just a couple. No, I don't know if this is all of them, but here's what I found. The Master of Toils. No fucking clue what that does.
Like the witches like burn and boil, turn and toil.
Yeah. Okay. He was the constable of 4 different castles, a cipherer of the household, gentleman of the Privy Chamber, esquire of the body.
What?
What?
Esquire of the what?
Of the body.
The body?
Probably Henry's body.
Kinky.
That's what the ladies call me.
And then in 1522, he was knighted.
He's got a lot of titles.
Yeah, he's set. As one of the king's minions, he was quite troublesome. In 1519, I would like to point out that he was about 30 years old when he was doing this shit. In 1519, him and a guy named Sir Edward Neville were in Paris on a diplomatic mission. And while in disguise, for some fucking ass reason, him and Edward threw eggs and stones at the commoners while they were just out on the street. So they got...
I like the extreme difference, like, it's either an egg, which just, breaks and yolk dirty, or a rock. Someone.
Fucking bricks or tomatoes.
And thus, the first Halloween.
And that's how Halloween was invented.
Costume and everything.
The rock was the trick. The egg was the treat.
We're so hungry. All right. Wolsey, you guys remember our good pal Wolsey?
Oh, yeah.
He was really not.
forget him?
He was really not happy with them being
I wonder why.
30-year-old shit stains.
The funny is, you say 30-year-olds in like the 1500s. That's like a 50-year-old today
Right.
doing this.
Right. So he wasn't happy, so he had them removed from the Privy Chamber, but he got back in. But then in 1526, Wolsey was like, no, I really fucking don't like you. So he again got Francis Bryan kicked out as a member of the Privy Chamber.
And then he egged Wolsey's house.
And then he egged his house. Yeah, Wolsey had done this thing, and I think we talked about this a long time ago, called the Eltham Ordinance. Essentially, it was just Wolsey trying to get all of his opponents out of Henry VIII's purview, and it didn't work. Sir Francis Bryan was known for being a womanizer. He was a poet, I guess. And he was really into tournaments, which we know tournaments.
Oh, he was into like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
He just sounds like a college kid.
Next,
They would hacky sack so much.
next you see him in the quad with his hurdy-gurdy playing Wonderwall.
I saith maybe.
I mean, he's going around egging people's houses. He's trying to get laid. He's like, man, I'm a poet. No one understands me.
Well,
And he's just constantly getting in trouble with the dean.
he does become kind of cool because in
Ryan!
in 1526, I think 1526, during a tournament, he lost an eye. And that's how he became the court pirate.
I was gonna wait. That's
Literally lost
That's
an
it?
eyeball and wore an eye patch for the rest of his days.
he doesn't actually become a pirate.
No.
Well, that's a disappointing
Sorry.
outcome.
Yeah, man. Let's go to the
Garrett,
other topic.
No. All right, the other topic was about beggars and vagabonds.
And being egged and stoned by
I mean,
Francis Bryan.
basically, no.
A little bit of a crossover there.
Anyways, tell us more about what.
All right,
Okay.
let's continue. Let's continue with the
So
pirate.
Bryan becomes the.
He becomes the court
one of
pirate,
the
and I call him that
Targaryens.
because when Garrett and I first started watching the Tudors years and years and years ago, there were episodes with the court pirate, and Garrett was like, oh, he looks like he's a pirate, and so he just became the court pirate. But Garrett doesn't remember these fond memories because he doesn't love me. Anyway,
Well, also yes.
in 15...
I've just got a bad memory, Emily.
That's
I do remember watching the Tudors
Oh.
with you. I don't remember the fine details.
What you don't see
That's
is
okay.
Garrett has our names written on his hand to make sure he keeps track of who's who.
It's one's a stick figure with a skirt, and that one says Emily. The other one has a beard. That one says Jeff.
Love it.
I don't know if I spelled your names right.
All right, in 1528, so remember he'd been a member of the Privy Council, or had been in the Privy Chamber twice, and Wolsey kicked him out. But then in 1528, Sir William Carey, who you guys probably don't remember this, but our listeners probably do, he was married to Anne Boleyn's sister, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he died. So there was a position open, and so Bryan just slid on in there, filled it for a third time. Everything was good. And they believe that he might have been helped out by Anne Boleyn, who was his cousin.
Oh.
Everybody's related. It's not that surprising anymore.
So he was related to Henry and Anne?
No, he's besties with Henry. He's not related to... Well,
Oh,
I
he's
mean,
besties
I guess...
with Henry, okay.
Because they're both descended from Edward III, they're related. But, like, he's closer related to Anne, so...
Okay.
He became highly influential, was one of the king's most favored companions. He led a lot of attempts to get rid of Wolsey, so he also didn't like Wolsey. So he worked really hard to get rid of him. And he was sent on quite a few diplomatic missions for Henry, besides the one in Paris where he was throwing eggs at people. But he was trusted with really important stuff. So when Henry was trying to get his annulment from Catherine of Aragon, he sent Bryan to Rome to speak with the Pope. And at one point, Bryan wrote to Anne, his cousin, was like, hey, this is totally going to be fixed, like, in days. The end is nigh, in a good way. And then 6 months later, he was like, yeah, not going to happen. But even though he failed with that, he was still sent on missions to help get his divorce. So that was pretty cool. Sorry, my notes are all over the place. All right, so Sir Francis Bryan was related to he was related to the Boleyns, which I covered, the Howards, which was Catherine Howard, who was, yes, okay, and the Seymours, Jane Seymour, the boring one.
Mm.
However, he apparently didn't really love the Boleyns as much, and he promoted the Seymour family a little bit more because they needed help because, and I did not ever know this, Jane Seymour's father had had an affair, and so their family was kind of shamed a little bit from that.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. And so they were struggling, and Francis Bryan even tried to arrange a marriage for Jane with somebody. Pretty soon that somebody became Henry VIII. So when Anne Boleyn started having her downfall, Francis Bryan was like, I see which way this is going. I'm going to go to the other side. So he actually then tried to make it easier for Henry VIII to hate on the Boleyns. He made up an argument with George Boleyn. Like, there was no real argument. He just made one up, pretended he was mad at him, and then Henry was like, yeah, I'm on Brian's side. Fuck you, George. So that he could be like, get away from me, George, without it being too obvious that he hated him because of his sister. Bryan even started encouraging Henry to pursue Jane Seymour. And then, in 1536, Bryan worked with Cromwell to bring about Anne's downfall. He was actually the one who told Jane when Anne Boleyn was beheaded.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's when Cromwell gave him the most badass nickname of all, the Vicar of Hell.
Oh my God!
And this guy, cool? and he did not actually become a real pirate. This is still getting disappointed that
he did not become a real pirate. I'm sorry. You know what? Fuck this episode. We're out. I quit.
He's just a dick who, like, fucked with his
I can't
cousin.
believe you're not happy with the Vicar of Hell nickname.
I mean, that is a badass name, but it's funny he's gay this for just dicking over his
Most
cousins.
men would give their left nut to have a nickname like that.
I agree. I would give my left nut to have a nickname.
He just gave
like
Boleyn.
that. What?
He just gave up Boleyn.
Oh, yeah. So after Anne's downfall, a.k.a. her brutal and unjust beheading, Bryan became a chief gentleman of the Privy Chamber. He continued to rise in prominence or maintain his high level of prominence, however you want to see it. And about a year after her death, he was sent to France to kidnap Cardinal Reginald Pole. Do you guys remember much about Reginald Pole?
The name?
Give me the Cliff Notes.
The Pole sounds familiar.
The Pole family was related to Henry. They were cousins. They had a legitimate claim.
Pole?
Margaret Pole. Good
Yay.
job. Yay, Jeffrey.
I mean, I have like a 1 in 6
Right.
chance of getting the girl's
So,
name right.
Quick recap. Edward IV had 2 brothers, George and Richard III. George was just a douche who drowned himself in a barrel of wine when he was told he
that guy.
Right.
Now, George had a child named Margaret. Margaret married a person. She became Margaret Pole. They had a couple of children. They all had a legitimate claim to the throne through George if you accepted that line of credit. Got it?
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, when Henry was trying to get his annulment from Catherine of Aragon, Reginald Pole, who at the time was a priest, very devoted to the church, he was like, yeah, no, Henry, not cool. This is not good. And Henry got pissed. So eventually he wanted Cardinal Pole. He was promoted to a cardinal. Cardinal Pole brought back to England so Henry could confront him. I say with air quotes. / cut his head off. And Francis Bryan was sent to go get Pole. Spoilers, he did not get Pole. Some people think Bryan may have warned Pole, but I only found that on one site, so we don't know how true it is. But regardless, Pole escaped, and Henry was like, fuck you, I'm going to get your family. So he imprisoned his whole family.
Yep.
Tell us more about Dick Face, One-Eyed Bagoo.
So the Vicar of Hell, he was, after Anne Boleyn's downfall, he became the chief gentleman of the Privy Chamber. And he
Remind me what the Privy Chamber
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I've heard you say this many times for other people, so I never quite knew like what it really means.
Let's see what let's see what Mr. Google says. What
Ask Jeeves.
Henry VIII's Privy Chamber. I think it was like his I don't mean the literal Privy Chamber. Okay. So a Privy Chamber was a private room, so it was kind of like so the royals lived in more like apartments than rooms. So they've got the king's bedroom, which is where he sleeps. And then attached to it are a couple other rooms. The main one is the Privy Chamber. The people who were in the Privy Chamber were the ones who like served him up close and personal. So the guy with the stool.
Oh, groom of the stool.
The groom of the stool. Thank you. The groom.
That's a position I remembered.
Yes. So the groom of the stool was one of his Privy Chamber guys. There were also pages who would be like, "Hey, boy, go send this message to my newest mistress."
It just sounds like a room of requirements from Harry Potter.
It is, except they're all people. That's what the Privy Chamber is. So he was the chief gentleman of the Privy Chamber. That's what I also call my husband.
So next time you get people, you're at a strip club, just ask if you've been taken to the Privy Chamber.
And then you get arrested. So
Bathroom's that way, honey.
He remained as the chief gentleman of the Privy Chamber until around 1539, when our buddy Cromwell turned against his former allies.
Cromwell would do that?
Cromwell, this is such a shocking turn of events.
More like Crom whore.
Well.
But don't worry, Cromwell lost his head very shortly after, and Bryan became vice admiral of the fleet. So he doesn't really fall like Bryan never really like had a downfall. He just would occasionally lose jobs. He's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. You don't get necessarily fired. You just get relocated.
Right.
Like you just get a job title change.
Wait, you said he became. Sorry, you said he became chief admiral of the fleet.
Yeah.
As in, like, the boats.
I guess. Is there another kind of fleet?
So he kind of is a pirate.
There you go.
Finally.
All right, all right, guys. We made it.
We did it, guys. Woo!
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Where?
Well, I Googled it.
What, the fleet?
Wow.
Just Google the fleet.
No. Chief Admiral of the Fleet. All right.
Okay.
They're just giving me a bunch of names, so it doesn't really tell me anything about what the position is. So I will research later when we're not in the middle of recording.
Yeah, I'm not too knowledgeable
when it comes to
on like military ranks, like admiral. I just always I associate with naval.
Well, they had a navy.
I know, so it makes sense.
So after Jane died, Henry told Bryan. So he kind of became Henry's pimp after Jane died. So you remember Henry VIII married Catherine, Anne, and Jane based on love matches. And then he was faced with the idea of making a political match, but he still wanted to pretend it was all for love, right? So after Jane died, Henry told Bryan if he would pretty please ask Mary de Guise, who was a French noblewoman, and other French noblewomen, if they would go to England, get on a fucking ship, and go to England so Henry could check them out and pick which one he liked best. Bryan was like, okay. So he asked, and they promptly told him to fuck off. So Henry was pissed, and he was complaining to the French ambassador. And the French ambassador said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but imagine this in old-timey Tudor speak. Do you want us to bring him over so you can fuck him and decide which one you like best? And Henry's like, fine, I get it.
Test trial.
Test trial.
I mean, kinda, yeah.
All right. Henry wasn't done.
Be really cool if you did.
Henry wasn't done. So there was a visit planned with King Francis. And so Henry was like, hey, Brian, could you do me a solid? Go to Francis, and since he's bringing his wife, could you ask his wife if she has maybe 8 hot royal friends that she could bring with her?
I can't just
So that I
ask
could
for a friend. I have to
check
ask for
him
8 of them.
And Francis, so Brian's like, all right. So he goes to Francis, and the King of France says, no, we don't bring our women out like horses for sale for you to look at. So that was the end of that. And as we all know, he married Anne of Cleves, and they lived happily ever after.
Nothing ever happened after that.
All right.
Now I'm just thinking of Henry on like a dating show, like one of those like really trashy MTV ones from like the early 2000s.
It's it's not A Shot at Love. It's not. What's the one with Bret Michaels?
Oh,
Was that A Shot at Love? No, that was
crap.
Tequila Shot at Love.
Shot at Love,
Every
there's-
Rose.
Was it
There's
House of
Flavor
Love?
of Love.
It has. It's
crap.
something to do with one of his stupid fucking songs.
Like Rose.
Yeah,
something.
every rose has its thorn or something.
Oh man, I used to know
God
it.
damn
I was
it.
thinking more like Next. Remember
Yes.
Next?
All right, what's the Bret
Yeah.
Michaels?
Oh man, that'd be funny. They did like they just have a carriage that pulls up, and it's like
Rock of Love.
Rock of Love. Oh man.
Rock of Love.
Yeah, Rock of Love. The best thing about that show was the twist ending. Do you guys know anything about it?
No.
Oh boy! All right, so the Rock of Love has Bret Michaels, and he's like, "I'm looking for my true love, and my true love is only 25 years old." So he has all these women on the show, and he slowly eliminates them, and then in the very last episode, he's got 2 hot women who are both like, "We're desperately in love with you, Bret Michaels," and he goes, "I love you both. I cannot possibly pick. Will you both be with me?" And one of them is like, "No." And the other's like, "Sure." And then he goes, "Just kidding. That was a test. I don't want a woman who will share me. Sure, girl, you're out." You picked the
Oh
one
my
that said no.
God.
And then she was like, still no?
There is nothing like the 2000s VH1 dating shows. Those were art.
Celebrity quote
All right.
dating shows.
That's our next podcast. We're just going to review all those old dating shows.
Oh my god, that'd be so fun.
I think I might die.
No, you'd
I
have fun.
can't. I can't.
Wait,
handle
what would
it.
Henry VIII's dating show
Oh.
be called?
It's gonna be something with heads be rolling or something like that.
It's gotta be something to do with beheading. All right.
Oh my gosh, I love the idea though. Like how like at the end of each episode, he like eliminates another one, gives him like a rose or something like that. It's
He
him.
gives him an axe.
He gives him beheading. It's,
All right.
I don't have a joke for
That's
it.
okay, we'll
God,
come
I
back.
tried
This
Don't
is
so
worry.
weird.
hard.
Like
One
this
of
is
our
weirdly
listeners
Hunger
will come.
Games also meets Rock of Love.
Yeah, one of our listeners will come with something. Don't worry.
Yeah, if you have a great idea
You
for
can
what
guess-
Henry VIII dating
You
show,
can be our co-host on our review podcast of all those VH1 shows. All right.
A little asterisk
I
there,
do
right
want to
there.
see the testimonials though.
All right. So, okay. So, Francis Bryan had a reputation as a rake. That's the word that was used repetitively. It was a
Like-
rake.
Gardening tool?
No, like a cad, scoundrel.
I've never heard it used that
womanizer.
way before.
You've never heard the phrase rake?
No.
It's very 1800s.
Unless it's the fall, no.
It's very 1800s. This is one of my favorites. On a trip to Calais.
Cal Arts?
What?
What?
Calais, France.
Oh. California.
On a trip to Calais, he told his host, I don't know who it was, that he would like a soft bed and a hard harlot.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, what's his family looking like? Does he have a wife? Is he married? Does he have
just
family?
about to get to that, actually. So he had two
He
wives.
found a really good harlot.
Oh.
I mean, marriage has nothing to do with not banging every hooker. All right. He had two wives. Well, the first he married before 1522. Her name was Philippa Spice. I don't know anything about her.
She's part of the Spice Girls.
Yep, that's my favorite Spice Girl.
Bratty, sporty, baby, Philippa.
Honestly, it sounds like a legit one, that name.
In 1540, so she died, I'm assuming. Or he had two wives. Or he had two wives. In 15...
Por los dos.
What?
Por los dos.
In 1548, he married a woman named Lady Joan Fitzgerald. All right, so Lady Joan Fitzgerald was married to James, the Earl of Ormond. This is interesting to me because I'm a big old fucking nerd. James, the Earl of Ormond, was supposed to marry Anne Boleyn before she secretly married Henry Percy, and then secretly but then publicly married Henry VIII. But Joan married to this guy, and he died, but he was poisoned. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was just straight up poisoned, and everybody's like, what are you gonna do? Like, they didn't investigate it at all.
Iocane powder.
Right?
Honestly, guy was kind of a dick.
So, Joan was then gonna marry one of her relatives, which yuck, but also 1500s. And that was
Keep
gonna
it in the
unite...
family.
What?
Keep it in the family.
Keep it in the family. Well, that was going to unite two of the great Irish houses. The council was like, yeah, we don't really like the idea of anybody in Ireland having that much power. So they're like, hey, Brian, could you do us a solid and marry Joan? So he's like, fine, I'll do it. So he married her. They had a very unhappy marriage, but they also had 3 sons. So I guess... I don't know. One of those sons actually was...
At least 3 times it was good.
For him. One of those sons was actually sent to America because he did something inappropriate. I don't know. He was punished and sent to America.
Oh, it's so nice to hear someone's being punished, so they're sent to the United States.
Right, right. So, in all reality, one of us could be related to the court pirate.
Oh, God.
So he had a reputation as a rake. He also helped Henry have all of his affairs. And he was one of very few who would ever speak his mind to Henry. He was described as articulate and witty. And a lot of people were really surprised that he would be so familiar with the king. He just, like, cracked jokes at him. Now, Henry was never mad at him. He was always, Francis would always speak his mind, but I would like to point out, his mind was always whatever Henry had recently declared was the law. So if Henry was like, I love Anne Boleyn, Francis would have been like, yup, she's the best. Great wife material. And then when Henry was like, I don't think I like Anne, Francis was like, yeah, she sucks. So,
he was a yes man.
Absolutely a yes man.
I mean, he's not stupid.
Yeah.
No, he lived.
I mean, if there's anything I've learned from any of these guys that we've talked about recently or even in the past, it's like, be a yes man or you lose your fucking head.
I'm always baffled when we do find that person who's really close to Henry and manages to actually live through it.
In one of the other topics I was going to do, but I didn't have enough content, I found out that there was only one Marquess who was not beheaded or tainted as a traitor during Henry VIII's reign. One. And also only one duke who did the same.
Huh.
Yeah. So Francis Bryan was Henry's, like, BFF, and I will end on a little bit of a joke note. All right. So at one point, Henry VIII was like, "Hey, Francis Bryan, everybody says that my daughter Mary is so, like, virginal and innocent, but I don't believe it. Could you please test it out? And Francis,
What?
Hold on. Francis is like, I got you, boo. So he trots on over to Mary, and he says, the article I found said he said something incredibly lewd, and she did not understand it. However, I will tell you what happened in the show The Tudors, which often used direct quotes that could be attributed. So, in the show The Tudors, Francis Bryan goes up to Mary and he says, there's a new French game everybody's playing. Would you like to play it? And she goes, what's it called? And he says, it's Cunningless. And she goes, I don't know that one. And
Who's Colonel Angus?
Who's Colonel Angus? And so he kind of starts laughing. And she's like, I think you're laughing at me, and I really don't like it, so I'm going to fuck off now. At one point, Henry VIII stopped pursuing a woman because Brian was interested in her, and apparently Henry VIII has a bro code that he simply will not break.
Really?
Brian called dibs. Francis Bryan died in 1550, and that's that.
Of what?
Don't know.
Just died?
Don't know. Literally everything is like, interesting information, and then he died. Oh, okay. Just died in 1550. I mean, we can... Oh, there are no portraits of Francis Bryan, by the way.
I mean, I got, like, when I do a Google search, I mean, this guy's was from, 1550.
Sorry, I can't get over the fact
That's
that...
not, they can't attribute that to him. They can suggest it might be him, but it's not. Sorry, Garrett, what can you not get over?
I can't get over Brian going to talk to Mary and be like, hey, girl, you ever heard cunnilingus before? And she's like, ew, no.
But she
That
wouldn't
doesn't
have
mean
said,
she's a virgin.
She didn't even say ew, no. She was like, what game is that? Like, she had no clue what it was.
I mean, that just means that, she never got, yeah.
She shouldn't have been getting yeah as an unmarried lady.
She could be like a Catholic virgin.
What's the name of those two girl singers, Jeff? Garfunkel and Oates?
Yes.
Yep.
Catholic versions. That is Sir Francis Bryan, the Vicar of Hell, court pirate.
I'm just looking at the pictures of the actor from...
He's hot. Oh, he's hot.
It's kind of funny because they even like he's wearing this like whole hat and everything in these photos.
Yeah.
Of it, like
yeah,
really pushing the pirate thing.
Jeff and Emily.
Garrett.
Jeff and Emily. So, talking about Francis Bryan, when I got ordained as a minister at a B-Dubs and Buffalo Wild Wings, for anybody who doesn't know, and I became a reverend inside that holiest of places.
Yes.
And anytime there's a form that I have to fill out where I can put whatever my prefix is, I put reverend if I can. When I bought those tickets for the play that goes wrong, I put my title down as reverend. So if somebody called me the Vicar of Hell, that would be on every goddamn official form I ever had. Nobody would ever forget that I'm the Vicar of Hell.
Oh, man.
It's a good nickname. And that's it.
Man, I miss the days when people would be like introduced, like when you come into a room, they're like, "Oh, like everyone now notice, Lord and Lady," and then someone just lists off the different names of your titles.
Me too. I do miss those days.
Now introducing the Vicar of Hell, Garrett.
Yo, I do like this. I do kind of like this guy. Like
he's interesting.
He seemed like he was kind of a shitbag, kind of a scuzzball.
He's less scuzzbally than
Just knew how to survive.
Who was it we talked about? Not this last episode, but the one before that. He's less...
Dick?
Yeah, Slippery Dick. He's less...
Yeah,
Richie Rich?
Yeah, he's less scuzzy than him.
Which is funny to think that, like...
Yeah.
How much scuzz we've talked about on this podcast.
All right.
It's pretty baffling.
So, I did find a couple other things, and I can't figure out how to make a whole episode out of these things, but I did want to talk to you guys about the Dukes, because, and this is not related to Francis Bryan, but I was like cackling while reading these paragraphs in this book. So, all right. In England, there's a bunch of different noble titles you can have.
Mm-hmm.
There's king,
As
the
we've all
ultimate.
talked about before.
Noble, yes, we've talked about these before. Duke, Marquess, Earl, some other shit. Now, in the 19th or 20th century, the 19th and 20th centuries, there were about 800 to 900 peers. 800 to 900 noble people. But before the Wars of the Roses, there were only 64. Then, in the Wars of the Roses, about half of them died without heirs. So there were about 38 when Henry VIII was crowned, when Henry VII was crowned. Now, traditionally, a king would create new peers upon becoming king, and Henry VII was like, yeah, fuck no, because I know the damage peers can cause, so none of y'all are getting promoted. So, he did not create any dukes. So here's a quick history of the dukes of the Tudor period, because this had me laughing very hard. So first there was Sir John Howard, who was the Duke of Norfolk in 1483. In 1485, he was killed fighting for Richard III. His family was given their dukedom back in 1514. However, in 1547, the third Duke of Norfolk was condemned to die. Now, luckily, Henry VIII died days before the Duke was supposed to be executed. So then when Mary became queen, her title was restored. However, the fourth Duke was beheaded by Queen Elizabeth in 1572. So, goodbye to the Duke of Norfolk. Then there was the Duke of Buckingham. The second Duke of Buckingham was beheaded in 1483 because he supported Henry VII while Richard III was still on the throne. Henry VII restored the title to his son, but then in 1521, Henry VIII beheaded that same son. Henry Fitzroy was named the Duke of Richmond. Do you guys remember Henry Fitzroy? He was Henry's illegitimate son, also known as...
The Bastard by Bessie Blount.
But he died in 1536. So there goes the Dukedom of Richmond. Charles Brandon was named Duke of Suffolk. He died without sons. His dukedom went to his son-in-law, Henry Grey. But Henry Grey fucked up by supporting Jane Grey, his daughter, and he was beheaded. So there goes the Duke of Suffolk. Edward Seymour, Jane's brother, was named the Duke of Somerset during Edward VI's reign. He was executed as a traitor by John the Deadly. So there goes the Dukedom of Somerset. John Dudley was named Duke of Northumberland, but he was executed by Queen Mary. After Norfolk was executed in 1572, there were no more dukes.
Jesus.
For the rest of the Tudor reign, which was 30 more years.
This sounds like the drummers of Spinal Tap. just disappeared a puff of green smoke.
Yep.
And just a pull of goo left on the chair.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wanted to share that with you guys, and knew it wouldn't fit in anywhere else, so...
That is ridiculous.
No more dukes. Anyway.
We should definitely have an episode that's like 3 different topics.
I'm cool with that.
Like quick ones that you can't fill a full episode.
I'm cool with that. I am very cool with that.
Cool.
That's it.
All right, bye.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
Glad you liked it. I mean, I do think there's going to be some laughter at the Beggars and Vagabonds episode, but also...
Nothing's funnier than homeless people.
Honestly, that's kind of why I didn't do it. I was like, we'll laugh, but then we'll be assholes. So
Be very depressed by the end of it.
It's not laughing at the homeless people. It's laughing because Jeff's seen Wonka. Garrett, have you seen Wonka?
I have seen Wonka. It's a delightful film.
You know the moment where the rich people are in the vault area and one of them says poor and he gags?
Can't say it at all. Just the pork. Oh, God.
That was basically every Tudor monarch's reaction to poor people.
Oh, I assume that was the case.
Like, it's like just a quick TLDR. If you were poor and you were caught begging, then they'd whip you, cut your ear off, pierce your ear with a hot iron rod, punish people for giving you money if you're begging. Like,
step on your foot, poke you in the eye.
Oh, man. I want to say so much, but I feel like I gotta save that for when that episode comes out, so...
The best part is, at one point, if they're caught begging in a parish that's not their own, a parish is kind of like a town. If they're caught begging in somebody else's parish, they'd get whipped for like 2 days, and then they were sent home. And the law was very clear about this. It said, if you don't take the shortest route home, we're going to whip you again. It's not if you don't go home. It's if you don't take the shortest route home, we're going to beat the shit out of you again.
Get the fuck out of this town as quickly as you can, or we're going to do it again.
All right, we're going to save this for a whole other episode, because, yeah, I think we're going to have a whole lot to say about this.
We will.
When we get there. Oh, man. But that's a nice little preview of what I think we plan to do soon.
It'll be a good one.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
I
guess until
Thank you.
next time.
That was great.
That was good.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Follow us on the social media stuff.
We got Facebook, we got Twitter, we have Instagram.
None of which we update.
YouTube. All this we're completely silent on.
To be fair, we haven't even updated the damn podcast in months.
Sorry, but you guys know what you're on for.
You can rate, review, subscribe. I don't know if you really want to. At this point, the rating thing doesn't even matters to us anymore. At this point.
I don't know. The more 1-star ratings we get, the more I laugh.
Please don't give us 1 star for just not releasing episodes.
I
don't think anybody would do that.
No.
If you're being mad at us, be mad for
just for historical inaccuracies.
I like our listeners.
Yeah.
Sorry we made you all think we were dead. We weren't. Just...
Yeah, someone actually reached out on Facebook the other day and was like, hey, you guys aren't dead, right? And I was like, no, we're just busy.
Yeah,
but
just understand,
we'll get something together soon.
We're not really on a schedule anymore, so you'll get episodes when they just come out.
And you'll be grateful.
That's how it feels. But for us, it's like, when this is our hobby, that we can just when we have time to do it.
It's fun. We love you.
Yeah. We love you guys. So, thank you for those who are being patient with us.
Yep. All right.
Until next time.
Till next time.
Divorce, beheaded.
Died. Divorce, beheaded,
survived.
Divorce, beheaded, survived.
God, every time is painful
Goodbye.
now. Goodbye.
Bye. Do we have a visitor coming down?
Most likely.
All right. Give it a minute.
We interrupt this podcast.
Here comes the kid.
Hi, Evie.
Who do you want to talk to? Okay, you say, what do you want to say? I love him. Oh, okay.
I love you, Uncle Garrett.
Oh, I love you too, Evie.
He says he
All right, give me one last hug and you can go back upstairs.
I love you, monkey.